Hi. Now we need to have a quick talk because I don't know what's going on with y'all, but it needs to be spoken of. My name is Keldwat, and today I want to dedicate this video to the following people: resellers, price gougers, and scalpers within the collectible and collecting market and communities. This one's for y'all. This is a call out. And to preface this by saying, I have no mercy for you. Hi, welcome to the series where I yap about whatever is on my mind today. Because I have a big mouth, I like to yap about things, and I can't even do my full disclaimers today or my full intro because with this subject personally I'm talking about today, I'm heated. I'm angry and I'm mad. No, honestly, the only disclaimers, the only valid ones anyway, that I can give when making this video is I'm angry. This is a topic that I think is serious and personal to me. And if you think I'm over exaggerating or I'm dramatic or it's not that serious, blah, 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 I have a lack of critical thinking, it's free to click off. And I'm going to talk my shit. And I'm probably not going to apologize for whatever I say about these people because frankly, they don't deserve grace. And if you're angry while watching this and thinking, oh my gosh, she's being so harsh and da da da, you're probably mad because I'm talking about you, Buki. And that's okay. And that's okay. But with that being said, and those things out of the way, let's get to the rant. Now, I know on YouTube when we talk about resellers and price gougers, we like to give them a lot of grace. A lot of people like to include some type of nuance about people making legitimate small businesses out of these things and, making money and things of that nature. Not really in a malicious way, but just enough to, like gain some type of profit and things of that nature. And to that point, I say, yeah, I'm for nuance and stuff like that to a certain degree, but that's not what I'm going to talk about today. I'm not going to talk about the nuances of it. In fact, I'm just going to talk about the negative about it because the negative far outweighs the positives. I'm of probably the more extreme and maybe even unpopular opinion that resellers and price gougers, you guys suck. Point blank period. You guys suck, and I personally think that you guys are unethical and you need to be taken down by the FTC. I know that's crazy. I know you're gonna think I'm crazy, but I don't apologize for this opinion. Personally, don't think that you guys are any better than the greedy corporations you buy the merchandise from and you try to upsell it to us. I am of the opinion that you guys are unethical. You are just as greedy, and you need to be stopped immediately. Honestly, you can't convince me in any lifetime why it is ethical in any way or why it shouldn't be considered greedy to flip a children's toy that you found for $32 and make it so it's the price of somebody's car note within 2025. There's no reason you can convince me why that is okay in any capacity other than the fact that you are just greedy, unethical, and you desire nothing more than to make money. Now you must be thinking to yourself, Keldawat, this is such extreme viewpoints. Oh my dog, like why? What's got you so fired up today to make this video? And I'm gonna show you. That right there. This figure right here is why I'm making this video today. Let me set the scene for you real quick. I'm a tiny 2000s Keldawat living her best life, her best girly life. And my parents are Bratz. Okay, they were divas or whatever. And what do divas produce? They produce a brat themselves. So what were they okay with me having growing up as a toy? Bratz dolls. They didn't mind. They picked it up for me every once in a while when I was like, I want this and I want that. They were totally fine with me having them. So that's what I grew up playing with. Growing up with Bratz, I had everything I probably could have wanted in terms of that series. I had the movies, I had the dolls, I had the Flash games, I had the video games. I even had a Bratz themed computer. Like I was really a brat. Like I was living my best life. I want to know the one Bratz product that I did want and did see in stores, but I couldn't ask for growing up as like a religious kid. It was the twins pack. It was the one with Phoebe and Roxy in it. And you're probably, wondering why it's so harmless and stuff like that. I was not about to point to my Christian parents and be like, "Can I get this?" knowing damn well there was a duck with like devil horns on the back. Like, they would have taken it seriously, more seriously than it needs to be for like a children's product. They were not going to let it happen. So I had to just kind of sit back in my chair and admire from afar with sad puppy eyes and be like, oh, it would be so nice to own that. And when I tell that brief story, please don't think I'm some type of like victim of like religious trauma. Like, no, I'm content with how I grew up. Thanks. So just wanted to preface that. Fast forward a little bit of time. Obviously, I grew up, and the new generation of little girls are flocking to the shelves to find their preferred doll and everything like that. And obviously, Bratz was not on the line for that. They had to create new doll lines. So Bratz kind of took a back seat. Forward even more time, Bratz makes a surprising comeback, right? So instead of trying to actually cater towards, like, the younger, newer generations and stuff like that, they decide to grow up with the audience that they had in the first place as little kids, right? So they start to cater more towards like the millennials and like late millennials and like early Gen Z kids, right? So they start to make like more like adult collectors items and stuff like that. I'm sure you've seen the Bratz collab with like Mean Girls and everything like that, like legitimate collectors dolls. And then with that comes the resurgence of these old collections that they used to have back in like the early 2000s, right? And they start to reproduce them. So you're starting to see like the old, like, I'll try to show like a box figure real quick. Re-releasing the OG dolls, the first dolls ever created on the Bratz line because of their 20th anniversary. And like any good thing, resellers have to ruin it and sell it at a higher markup, which is what happened during the release of those dolls. Of course, with MGA releasing all the old products, they decide to rehash Bratz babies. So they start reproducing some of the old dolls that I grew up with. And then what they ended up releasing was the twins pack again. So they released the Roxy and Phoebe one. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, oh my gosh, wow, they like really made a comeback with this. Like they were serious. They came to eat. Come on, MGA. So I was like, okay, that's cool. So I look on the MGA website and it turns out like, they're sold out or whatever. But it doesn't really matter because on Amazon, I know we're like iffy about them right now, but just bear with me or whatever. But on Amazon, they had a listing for retail, which was $19.99. And I thought to myself, just seeing that number on its own, I was like, okay, they're still selling it for like a legitimate price. There's still there's still stuff in production. So let me go ahead and save this to my cart and I'll get it within the next few weeks. Only for me to come back a few days later. Something told me, check the price of that twin pack. Something told me. And it is no longer listed for $19.99 with free shipping, of course, right? It is now $30.32 from a reseller. And rightfully so, I start crashing the F out because how does something go for $19.99 retail, that same listing, and then suddenly turn into $30.32 when it survived that much? For it could have been over a month that I had it in my cart. It could have been a few weeks. I don't remember. But how does it go from I don't want to chalk it up to just the market and then it just happens to be resold by this seller and stuff like that who happen to be on this same exact listing for $32 and up. How does that's not coincidence. So I start looking at these listings. I start seeing it for $28 plus shipping, $30, $31, all the way up to a measly $42.99 for an item that costs $20. It's not just Amazon. It's anywhere you can think of. It's eBay, it's Mercari, it's Depop, it's Poshmark, you name it, they are selling it for these kinds of prices. So I said to myself, no, I'm not going to pay that. I'm going to pay retail for that. I'm going to pay $19.99. So I start looking, and I start looking at all the listings and everything like that. And I finally see a listing that's listed for $19. So the listing tells me it's just like new, just has a couple minor defects to it, which is annoying, but I get it anyway. So I buy the listing and it gets shipped to me. And not only do I get this product half opened at the top and there's no like sticker on the side or like, tape on the sides to indicate that it hasn't been opened, right? Sticking out. It's got dust inside on the outside. And not only that, it has two big ass stickers slapped on the front. One from Amazon saying how they're so grateful that I brought a secondhand item, and the other being a barcode. It's totally not like I'm a collector and I want this not slapped on the front so there's not sticker residue on it. Totally not. Totally not. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, that's not the reseller's fault. You bought it from the Amazon secondhand store. Like it's not that serious. Not like, you got $1 off for it. It's not that serious. No, I still put the blame on the resellers. You know why? I get this item for $1 less. Now I have to put up with this quality because you guys want to be greedy and you guys want to resell stuff for more than it is worth. But Kelda, the platform takes a cut of my profit and I had to pay for shipping. Excuse after excuse after excuse after excuse. I'm so sick of it. The shipping part especially baffles me because any consumer would have to pay that price in order to get that product, right? You're not like you're not special because like, oh, I had to pay shipping like any other consumer. So you have to include that in the cost of what you're selling us. No, no, Pookie, that's crazy. You're insane for that. That the platform takes which you sell the item on. I just have to say, I didn't realize that I don't know, like $275 Melanie Martinez perfume that you were paying for. I didn't realize that you had to sell it for over $1,000 to get your profit back. I didn't realize that was a thing. I didn't realize that the platform takes so much of that money away. Oh my gosh, the horror. The horror of paying $17.99 for a blind box, opening it so it is therefore considered used. And then I sit there to myself and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't stand to lose $3 for selling this at retail. Oh my God, I know, I need to make that profit back. So you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna sell it to you for 30 bucks. And you know what? Just because I had to go out of my way to get the character that you wanted, even though you have the same likelihood of getting the same character that you wanted and stuff like that, if you had just paid the $17.99, even though I have the same likelihood as you to get it, I'm gonna upsell it, you know? It's the principle. Oh, the story of the poor reseller that just wanted their money back from buying a new item. Do receipts not exist? Did you not want that item in the first place? I heard there's this really free policy that you can do where you take the receipt and you go back to the store with the item in hand and you give them the receipt and they ring up the receipt and they're like, what would you like to return? And then you hand them the product and do you know what you get back? Your money. Okay? Like, if you really did not want the item that badly, why are you going to sit there and try to sell it to me for more than what you got it for? If you wanted the money back that bad, you would go return it. Why? Because you probably didn't want the item in the first place. You just wanted to resell it. Individual artist does that. A person with actual talent does that, right? They include the amount of labor they had to put in to make said product. They include how the materials it took to actually make the product and everything like that, right? That's reasonable because that's an artist, somebody with talent, right? It doesn't take talent. It doesn't take a big brain or somebody to like, it takes a consumer, which could be any of us. It takes the average consumer to go walk up to the store, put the same amount of energy to look for an item, buy it, and then flip it for a different price or sell it to somebody for something higher. Okay, that doesn't take any skill or any talent. And for some odd reason, you think that you are entitled to a few dollars extra because you put the effort and drove into your car to buy something nobody asked you to buy and flip on the internet. Are we children? Are we okay? Are we like, this sense of entitlement that resellers have, I think is the ultimate audacity I wish I had. It's like on par with the audacity of like the average man has. Look, okay, nuance exists, right? Again, not the purpose of this video. But I understand lowballing and I understand maybe losing your receipt and just wanting your money back. I get it. I get that everybody has this individual problems of why they might need to resell something. Like, cool, great. But that's not majority of what's going on here, and that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the greedy, money-hungry people that exist on the internet thinking that somehow their used Juicy Couture purse that it has literal mold in it and is scuffed up is somehow worth the price of a new bag. Like, are you nuts? The excuse that I find so funny is when people say things like, oh, well, it's just not in your budget. Find somebody else that will put it in that price range for you. Or you're just broke, go get your money up or something like that. And I find it so funny because this assumption that the consumer in any way is broke or anything like that, when they just want to pay retail what you brought it for, and somehow equating that to broke is crazy to me. When the person that flipped the poor $5 Hello Kitty toy from Five and Below is trying to all of a sudden sell it for $20 or $25. That to me doesn't, that to you doesn't scream broke. That doesn't scream broke to you. The person who brought the $10 LOL surprise toy maybe brought worth like 5 miles in gas or something like that, drove themselves to Walmart to go buy it, open it up, and then have the audacity to flip it for $35, $45 even. It's been crazy, the price ranges I've been seeing. And you somehow think that the consumer's broke because they would like to pay retail what you got it for, and you for some reason think they're broke? I'm sorry to say, but it's the pot calling the kettle black. Somebody needs to look in the mirror. Somebody needs to stare in the mirror, and it's not the consumer. Okay? It's not us. A lot of cognitive dissonance that resellers have when it comes to justifying why they do what they do, it's just so funny to me. It's the argument of, you're just so broke. Something's wrong with you. You can't afford it at this rate. You're broke. You're broke even though I brought it for less than you, right? You're just jealous. You're just mad that you didn't get it in your cart fast enough. You gotta be quicker than that. Like, it's just insane to me the amount of mental gymnastics that they use to justify what they do, even though they brought it at a lesser markup, and they know if it was them in that same position, they would not be paying that price. It's so funny to me, especially the jealousy argument, because why would anyone not be? Of course they'd be jealous. Of course another consumer would be jealous of you, considering the fact that you brought up the entire stock of something that you didn't need with the very intention of upselling it to them. The consumer not be jealous that they now have to not only compete with the fact that this company is selling something for this price, they now have to compete with several other people who are then going to buy up, control the supply chain, okay? Create false scarcity, right? They now have to compete with all these other consumers buying up more than they need and then flipping it for a price that they no longer can afford. There's two things stopping you now. Like the fact of maybe not being able to like rush to the store fast enough, or put something in your cart fast enough, or not click fast enough, or not be on this website link fast enough. Now they have to compete with bots. Now they have to compete with you buying up more stuff than you actually need, being the most greedy person out there, the most money hungry person out there, making it so nobody else can get anything. And then you sit there and somehow justify and sit there with yourself, and you're like, you should have just been quicker than that. And then you resell it to them for something more than what it was actually worth in the first place. So now nobody has access to it. Are we okay? Are we okay mentally? We can't just keep hiding behind this idea that it's basic economics, right? We can't just keep hiding under this idea that, oh, it's just basic economics. I'm not a terrible person because I just used what the market wanted, and I'm just taking advantage of what the market wanted, and this and that, and the third, and the next excuse, and the next booty chic. I'm so sick of it, because it's not that. It's false scarcity. It's not the market, it's you being a monopoly. It's not the market, it's you controlling how much scarcity there actually is. You are affecting the market, and you're making it so everybody else is inaccessible. And the thing that's the most sickening part about this is it's middle-class people like you and me. The most sickening part of this is it's middle-class people that we are on the same level. A majority of this problem is coming from people who are middle class. And somehow, in some way, because you think you live in the state that you do, and somehow, by chance, your store and stuff like that has these items in stock that are pretty in demand right now, and you think that you are justified in buying all of that up and then reselling it to people like you are the martyr, like you're saving people for a higher price range than what you brought it. Who's Mr. Krabs now? Who's the robber baron of the 2025s? You! Not only do I now have to compete with a big business, all right, a big corporation who controls the overall manufacturing of a product, right, whether they want to produce more or less. Now I have to compete with the average consumer, and then also the people who seek to monopolize that market and buy up all the stock before even anybody else can get it. Wait till it's sold out completely and then resell it to you for a higher price range. Because why? Because it's sold out. Because it's rare when it's not. It's forced scarcity. This is not the natural market working itself. Okay, you guys are creating that. Now, this idea of scarcity and the fact that this item is rare and no longer is in production and things like that, and I found it out of my closet and I somehow have it and nobody has access to it anymore. This conflated idea of rarity versus what it actually is worth and things like that, how valuable it is, I feel like has been conflated to the point where we are actually just making up stuff just to make it up. If we talk about things such as like, you know, the Hello Kitty boom and Hello Kitty vintage purses being like sold on Depop, or we can even talk about how the thrifting market has now shifted because people are getting all these things, flipping and reselling it for more than what they were actually worth in the first place. We can talk about how that whole market of thrifting and secondhand items has shifted, right? And how somehow people think that a 2012 Pinkie Pie shirt
from the Walmart aisle with armpit stains on it is somehow equal to $200 because, you know, it's rare, it's not in production anymore, you know? Somehow that this beat up Hello Kitty bag that is vintage Y2K, it has mold in it, is somehow worth over $100. More than the price point it would have been than if you brought it new. Simply because it's not in production anymore. I saw an example of this on Mercari the other day. There's this really nice Agretzico Loungefly purse that got released a little while ago. I don't know what the particular date is and everything like that, but it's a large tote bag and it's double faced. And I thought it was really cute. So I looked into it a little bit more and there was only maybe one listing, right? That I could see. And it was listed for like $180. And what got me was the person put in the caption and stuff like that it was gently used. It's like new. It's really not that big of a deal and stuff like that. And the leather is peeling, right? The leather has peeled off the item. There are scuff marks on, it's used. It is used. And for some reason they think because it's rare and, you know, you can't find it anywhere, that it is somehow worth that much. Did somebody on the market tell you it's worth that much? Oh no? I'm sorry, did somebody who's like an appraiser or something like that tell you that this purse is worth so much money? No, I didn't think so. I think you're just going based off of the fact that nobody can find it anymore, so therefore that means that I have this value, this item I have is so valuable. Even though it has very much worn and torn and would not be worth as much as what it retailed for. In fact, it would be worth less than that. So I saw that listing and I was like, I'm gonna wait for them to bring that price down because that's ridiculous. Nobody's paying for that, right? And then a couple days later, I see the same purse, new, with tags and plastic around the straps, being sold for what? $90. And for some, it's so baffling to me that people think that their used item, just because it's hard, you can hardly find it or there's no listings out there and stuff like that, that somehow means that it is worth more. And this stupid complex of seeing something be sold out and thinking that equals rare and thinking that means supply and demand, take advantage of market. It's just such a cognitive dissonance to me. Like they aren't affecting the market in a way that is unnatural, right? It really makes me mad. I recently saw a collab with Bath and Body Works with the Disney princesses and everything like that. And, you know, as I would pass by the store, I would see the lotions and the small little spritzes and things like that. And I was like, okay, cool. But would you happen to know that they had hand sanitizer holders? I wouldn't know, right? Because they got sold out and they were sold out online. And what do I know? I check in a couple days later and what do I see? The Princess Tiana hand sanitizer holder with a built-in light that was worth $14.99 being resold for $30. Well, what do you know? It's so irritating. Let's look at this Monster High doll. I was planning on talking about it later on, but I guess I'll talk about it here, right? This is a reproduction doll of the original Monster High Laguna doll made by Mattel, right? They restocked these several times because people were scalping them because they saw that it was sold out and for some reason thought, sold out means they're not going to make it anymore. So what do? They resell it for way higher than it needed to be. $24.99. That is how much this doll is worth and is currently being resold for over $100. Take a look over here. Matcha and Milk got released less than a week ago from Build-A-Bear and is currently sold out and is being scalped for over $200 together. You want to know the kicker about these two? They're going to be restocked at some point, okay? They're not done. They're not out of production. They're not rare. They are going to be restocked. So I know this video is primarily about resellers and everything like that and price gouging, but a little bit of my vitriol also does lie with people who fall for this stuff and buy into what scalpers are selling them. Listen, I'm not talking about the buyers that fall for your average $1 or $2 upsell or maybe a $10 upsell. Okay, I'm not gonna sit there and be chastise you and things of that nature, right? Okay, we all tend to compromise with ourselves sometimes that, oh, it's not as bad as a resale and stuff like that, or it could be worse. I get it. We need to be in reality though, okay? We need to be in reality. And the people who especially need to be in reality are the people who are actively playing themselves by paying for plushies that are way out of the price range of what you would pay for a normal plush toy, okay? It's not a jelly cat. If you, the viewer, are a middle-class US citizen. In what world are you paying over $600 for a Build-A-Bear Shadow the Hedgehog plush toy that retails for $34 or $32? In what world are you paying $600 for a plush toy that was likely made for under $15 during manufacturing? I'm just going to leave you with the question of, was it worth it? And to you, you might be saying, well, it's my money. Why are you so worried about my money? And Pookie, if that's your thought process, you can click off this video. That's not the point, right? But if you're sitting here thinking to yourself, well, yeah, it's worth it to me and stuff like that, I'm so happy you think it was worth it to spend more than you actually had to get the same item that person brought it for. I'm so happy you are out of $200, but thank God you get to finally say that you're holding matcha and milk. Oh, I have matcha and milk. They're sold out, but I got matcha and milk. I just got it for like $100 and something markup, whereas everybody else paid like retail for it. But at least I have it. At least I can cuddle at night. The person that sold it to you is currently laughing their way to the bank. And what are you? Out of $200. Congratulations, you played yourself. Reselling and scalping has quite literally poisoned every single collectible market and fandom that you can think of. Being a collector in 2025 feels virtually impossible because something as simple as wanting a certain collector's item or thinking that a certain item is cute and wanting to purchase it is virtually impossible for anybody to do. Why? Because resellers like to buy up everything and somebody will always capitalize off of it. Even though they brought it for retail, they will upcharge it and scalp it to a point that is unaffordable for somebody than what it was originally brought for. And then you have to deal with the gaslighting and the justifying of why it's at this certain price range and things of that nature. When in reality, that person quite literally controlled the market so you would not be able to get that item so they could upsell it to you for that price. It feels impossible to do it in this market and to just have a hobby and just to collect one item simply because you like it and not because you're not trying to capitalize off of it. Call me crazy, give me flack for it or whatever. I know it's an unpopular take, but I do not have respect for people in the doll community that upsell their personal collections like they bought up a certain amount or they bought like one to stay in the box or one to open up and they resell it for prices that are unimaginable for the average human being. I have no respect for that, especially if it's something that you brought for retail. I don't have respect for you. I'm so sorry. Especially if it's not rare. Especially when it comes to that Dracula doll, that Dracula Monster High doll for I think it's the Skulltimate Secrets collection version 1 being sold for $100 something and having going through so many posts and seeing girls be like, oh, or like just people in general just be like, oh, like, you know, this is from my own personal collection. Like that's supposed to make it any better. My guy, I'm so sorry to tell you, you are no better than the greedy corporation. You are no better than those resellers. You are part of the problem. It's Labubus, it's Pokemon cards, it's Squishmallows, it's Sanrio and Hello Kitty items, it's Bratz, it's Monster High, it's Pop Mart blind boxes, it's shoe collabs, it's makeup, it's Bath and Body Works, it's Build-A-Bear, it's popcorn buckets, it's Funko Pops, it's gaming, it's anime figures, it's Miniverse Make It Mini, it's collector's edition boxes, it's concerts. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of people trying to capitalize off of everybody and everything. These subjects that I mentioned are all things that I love that I can no longer afford to participate in unless I fork up an arm and a leg for it to compete with somebody who had the same ability as me to buy the item. Collectors really can't have anything like enjoyable anymore. It feels like, okay, the simple action of going to the store and picking up a singular pack of Pokemon cards is now considered a luxury. Something that was originally cheap and attainable is now an impossible hobby for a lot of people unless you have the money to do so. I don't really care if this comes off as like extremist or, you know, even dramatic in some cases, okay? Because I'm sick of people hiding under this idea of false supply and demand laws that don't exist and are actually up to that own person's accord, okay? That Charizard EX that you pulled from a pack of Pokemon cards is not a luxury item. It's a piece of cardboard that you were lucky to pull, okay? That celebrity perfume that you decided to buy for $75 and years later it's out of manufacturing and has been scratched up and lost due to time, and you somehow think that is worth over $1,000, which is somebody's college tuition. I hate to break it to you, but that's not how much it's worth, okay? Just because you place that value on it doesn't mean that's how much it's worth, okay? Your tattered up Juicy Couture bag from 19 whatever with mold and dander on it is not worth $500+, okay? That Hello Kitty Forever 21 collab tracksuit that you got 2 days ago and is now sold out is not this rare collectible that magically becomes a $40 markup, 40 price markup. All right. That's not how this works. That's not how the market works. That's not how any of this works. Okay. Some of you need to be GameStop exchange humbled. Some of you need to be Plato's Closet and Goodwill humbled. Okay. Everybody on YouTube has been holding these people's hands and trying to give them the benefit of the doubt. No more benefit of the doubt. It's a problem. We as consumers and as hobbyists and collectors are going to get to a point where our average wants are going to become unattainable at some point, all right? Average consumer wants, all right? And if you weirdos don't stop playing these games, you are not only going to ruin it for us, but you are going to ruin it for yourselves. I have to ask, who do you think is going to be able to buy your warehouse stock of Squishmallows that you decided to hoard and monopolize for other people to buy at a higher markup? I'm so sorry. Like, what did you think was going to happen if all of the scalpers and all the resellers sat there and bought up everything and keep it at that price range for a certain amount of time? Who do you think is going to be able to buy that? You're not going to make a sale. At some point, somebody's not going to pay that price for it. Okay. All right. Once everybody is super, nobody will be. And I have to say, an angel from heaven regains its wings every time a reseller is stuck with the stock that they decided to buy just to resell. An angel regains its wings. I am the happiest person on earth when I see that happen. And I just have to ask, where is the FTC in all this? It may seem dramatic. You may not think it's that serious, but I think it's that serious. And I think it should be taken seriously and should be looked into. You want to know why? Because middle class people have it hard enough having to work 40 plus hours a week, 40 years of their life, going to school to do said job, and then barely be able to afford necessities. And God forbid they have some one thing that they want. Something affordable, something that is in their budget and affordable that they just want to, have a chance to relax and just buy this one thing that brings them joy. And I can no longer have access to it because Jessica 44457 decided that she wanted to open her blind box, decided she didn't like the item that was in there, and decided I'm going to upsell it. I'm going to upsell it because I need to make my money back. And I have to suffer the consequences and I have to get gaslit. Because she had to drive her ass over there, pick up the blind box, open it, and decide, it's more than what I fucking bought it for. When she had the same chance as me to get that item. I have to get punished? Nah, fam. I'm gonna do my own thing. I had to get punished because I couldn't afford more than what they retailed it for. I have to get punished because I wasn't as fast enough as the bots and the AI that were bagging up these items before I could even get a chance to touch it. Nah. If you happen to make it to the end of this video, thank you so much for watching. Tell someone you love them today because tomorrow's not promised to us. Tell me what you think about this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.